And a good Friday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this Friday night, the 23rd day of August, 82324, with the white hat on tonight and the Trump 2024, the flag. It's a Friday night free-for-all, and we're going to be summing up the week of the, I call it the Demon National Convention, but just to be fair, the Democrat, the DNC is over, thank God, for all humanity. We're grateful to have my dear goddaughter, Mahgdalen Rose, on the phone with me. I'm sure she's all wired up and got a lot of comments and ready to go about this stuff tonight. Mahgdalen, it's good to always have you, dear. How are you doing? And it's good to see you.
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All righty. I'm going to release you to tell me what was your thoughts about this hideous convention this week. I mean, my goodness. We're going to talk about RFK, but my goodness, what a mess. Did you, I'm sure that you're going to run out. You were so inspired this week by these Dems that Mahgdalen Rose is going to change parties and run out and vote Democrat after this, right?
No. And what's so weird about this convention is that it was so celebrity packed.
Yes.
I mean, the entire thing was built on that. And I think that that's because Democrats have no bench of candidates. And I think back to the 2004 Democrat convention where we first meet Obama. And there's no denying that was a standout convention for them. Of course, they lost that year. But they had so many people who were launched from it. And that's what conventions are for. They're to get your nominee a boost and to formally do all the paperwork and everything. And to launch people, whether or not it's senators or congressmen or people who don't have an office yet but you think should run for something. And what's so startling is that just didn't happen this time. Everything was celebrity driven, and I think that shows that Democrats do not have a good bench of candidates ready for this next election.
Yeah, I'm with you. Absolutely. And I think Bill Hemmer of Fox pointed that out, that the Republican National Convention had a lot of down-to-earth people, just everyday people. The Democrats had all these politicians and celebrities, you're right. And Mahgdalen, that's the disconnect. That's all they've got to run on. And, you know, I couldn't stomach her speech last night anyway. I wouldn't have watched it. But just what I picked up, just snippets off the media, they're basically saying that it underwhelmed tremendously, and there was no mention of her vision for the country. It was all bad. Trump's bad, economy's bad, country's bad, border's bad. And a lot of people are trying to remind Miss Harris that you created this. You have been in power for 4 years, dummy. And you've made the border bad. You've made the economy bad. You've made grocery prices skyrocket. You've made gas prices skyrocket. You're the one that's made the corruption explode in government. And you're saying that it's bad, and if we put you back in, you're going to fix it? Really? That's nonsense. Yeah. It's just nonsense. Plain political nonsense.
It is nonsense. And what was so frustrating was that they had tried desperately to package Kamala as this family person. And so that you saw they brought up her nieces and they bring up goddaughters and her stepchildren. And that's all fine. There's no problem in people in her life saying that she's done great things for them. But she doesn't have children. And it feels increasingly like Democrats are grasping at straws, trying to find a way to make her look motherly. Because there's no child to point to and say, who can say, my mom did such a great job. So they create this sort of collaboration of young people. And they push it all together. What I find interesting is that aside from son, there are no young boys that they highlighted that Kamala has had such a big impact on. And I think that's because even when they're trying to do a makeshift family for her, they still want to lean all into feminism. So people see through it, and a lot of young people thought it was cringy. I think the main factor is that it was not really about anything except how much we hate Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'll agree. Did you see anything at all in this convention that would, because usually you get a bump, with conventions, all parties do. I don't see a bump coming from this. I think that it was so bad. No. I don't think the Democrats even, and Mahgdalen, what was so funny to me is just the little snip speeches I saw, it was like they were almost being forced to like Kamala Harris. They're being, you said it, they're trying to make her into something she's not. But it's like this bunch is it's like they're giving lip service to somebody. Their heart's really not into supporting, but that's all they got right now. It's her and Waltz. That's it. I mean, they're the ones that did this. There's no Joe Biden. There's no grandfather figure. I love what you said. There's no motherly figure. This woman is not Mother Teresa. This woman is the most leftist-leaning politician, probably the most leftist candidate we've ever had. And I thought Hillary was pretty bad. Kamala's going to make Hillary look like Mr. Rogers or Mrs. Rogers or whatever. I guess Mr. Rogers had a wife. But I'm telling you something. We got two evil blanks running for the Democrat ticket. And if people could watch this crap this week and not see that, they need mental help. I'm sorry. They just plain out need to find a shrink. Quick.
Yeah. And it was really interesting because we're talking about a governor, we're talking about somebody that has a long history in the community, and that was not really highlighted to the extent that you would think it would be. Overall, Democrats have this problem of about 12 years ago, they decided to stop running candidates and start running every candidate as a product. And they abandoned policy, they abandoned really campaigning on the issues, and that really came to a head with Biden. That's how they campaigned for him in 2020. So they have an issue here in that Trump is talking about policies and he's doing TikToks, which I thought one of them I thought was brilliant, where he's with all the food that has gone up because of inflation, the prices that have gone up. So they have this problem of the American people are hearing about policy constantly from Donald Trump, and all they're doing with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is running them like a great shampoo that's just come out. And it's a really frustrating thing for voters because even if you're a Democrat, you have to want more than just cute catchphrases.
Did you just say a cute shampoo that just come out?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that's what you said. What would you name the cute shampoo?
I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be a detangler because people can't detangle anything.
That's why I love you, kid. That's why I love you. All right, other big news. Look, let me ask you a question before I get on to RFK. You're younger. That's no secret. That's not a memo to our audience. They love you out here. You're their adopted daughter. You're my adopted daughter. Magdalene, what did your age group think of this? Honestly, are the young people being swayed by her faux pas? We're going to help the young people pay their student loans off. Are they buying this crap? Are they buying the fact that are they smart enough to see they're getting paid off basically and insulted by their intelligence that, we're all not smart enough to see the real issues, but if we'll pay for everything, we'll give you everything for free, y'all come vote for us, we'll take care of you. How's your audience, how's your group viewing all this, what you saw this week?
They don't take it seriously, and to be quite honest, Kamala Harris is not particularly speaking to young people. She is definitely gearing her social media marketing towards them, but in no way is she like the candidate for young people. That's just not happening. She's not talking about student debt. The biggest policy I hear her talk about is when she rips off policies when it comes to economics from Trump and abortion. She's not even campaigning on taking away guns anymore. She's abandoned everything. The woman has no policy platform. They're running her like a shampoo. It's ridiculous. And I don't understand how Democrats think this is going to help them. And, they had Kerry Washington there for tonight. And she's an actress who played sort of a fixer in Washington and Scandal. And they did this segment where they taught America how to say Kamala's name. And I could see what they were trying to do. They were trying to make her accessible. They were trying to include everyone. They did the thing where they all were supposed to record videos. They were hoping that everyone would record a video in that moment and it would flood social media. That was the digital strategy. It didn't happen. Nobody did it. People at the convention did it, but they did not go viral. I looked because I was curious if that would do well. So with the full force of the Democrat Party and all their digital strategists, they couldn't make any sort of social media challenge go viral from the DNC. And that's something that I think is a big indicator. And the other thing is they told accounts on Twitter that sort of chronicle pop culture and follow that there was going to be some big surprise, whether it was Beyonce or Taylor Swift. And they invited those people who run those accounts to the DNC. And they said this performer would be on right before her speech. So these great viewership numbers that they're talking about, they're only there because half the country thought Taylor Swift or Beyonce was going to be there. And instead it was just Kamala Harris. It was a bait and switch.
Yeah, so none of the celebrities, Taylor didn't show up and Beyonce didn't show up, but they lied about that, I understand. Correct?
Yes, definitely. And I think one of the other problems is that celebrities didn't want to go to this thing. So like you had Megan Thee Stallion, right? She's not a replacement for dealing with inflation. She's not going to help Kamala Harris deal with inflation. There was a real drought. Yes, there were celebrities. But did you see the big celebrities?
No.
Did you see Beyonce? Did
No.
you see Taylor Swift? Did you see any of the ones? No, because they don't want their careers destroyed by this. The best example of this is Katy Perry. In 2016, Katy Perry had to go all in for Hillary Clinton, making her whole personality. And it was a disaster. She went from door to door. I watched a video of her when I was 16 during that race. Of her going door to door in a college. I don't know how this wasn't voter intimidation. And saying, you're a woman, you're going to vote for Hillary Clinton, right? She became deranged about it. It destroyed her career. She's a cautionary tale within the music industry. So they don't want to become her. And for the first time, Democrats are having a hard time pulling celebrity support.
Yep. Do you, you mentioned the celebrity factor. Do you think that ultimately matters to the regular folks out here in America, even your age group? I don't think the celebrities have the pull they think they do. It's like these sports figures. I saw a basketball coach from Golden State, and there's a few others that they tried to pull in. And I think people just ultimately want people to shut up, go play sports, go act, but keep your nose out of our business. You're not going to condescend and tell us we're a bunch of dumb folks out here. You know, Joe Biden's most insulting comment of the night, I thought the most insulting part of the convention was when he basically called Trump supporters people that couldn't read well, couldn't think well, couldn't see things. I mean, you know, that's an insulting. Hillary did the same thing, and that didn't work out too good for her. But ultimately, does it matter to us out here in this real world what these celebrities think? Because I don't believe it does.
I don't think it does. And I think that that's another big issue they had. I will tell you, if it ever mattered what celebrities thought, it mattered in 2016, and Trump still won. That was the time where I think celebrities had a great deal of pull. And I know that Democrats are frustrated. I mean, they were a party that could pull anyone. But the difference is, during the time of Obama, or any celebrity Obama called picked up the phone, because Obama was in their minds a hero. I still don't know why, but he was in their minds a hero. He was fabulous. He was fantastic. Everyone loved him. Kamala Harris, yeah, he was kind of like this guy, this figure who would go on late night television and just sway everyone to his side. But Kamala Harris is not that person. She's not that cool. She has incarcerated a lot of black people. She has done some very bad things for that community. So she doesn't have this pull. And I think that even the Obamas, who I'm sure want her to win, I'm going to bet that they're not sticking their neck out on the line as much as they should be. Because at the end of the day, they want those Netflix specials and those audiobook deals to keep on coming.
So you think their issues more hate Trump? Their issues more their hatred of Trump, not their support of Kamala.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that the hatred of Trump is fine and something to campaign on. But everyone knows they hate Trump. Like, we get it. You hate Donald Trump, so what? Like, you have to talk about something else. And you mentioned that this sort of length of time this has been going on. I think that Trump losing the presidency in 2020, no longer being able to be in charge, in some way it extended the life of his movement. If Democrats had just stayed out of the way, just let him be elected in 2020, they'd be over him now. They wouldn't be staring down the barrel of another 4 years of him. J.D. Vance wouldn't be somebody who could lead the future of the Republican Party. But because they couldn't stop themselves, they're now looking at 4 years of Trump and possibly 8 years of Vance. It's going to go on and on and on. They're in a bad position. That's
an excellent point, kid. That is an excellent point, and I could not agree more. I'd really not thought about it like that. That's why I pay you the big bucks to come on and expound your wisdom to us on Friday nights sometimes and other nights. And by the way, I just want to say this about Mahgdalen. She's going to be our guest co-anchor come November, the night of the election, because we'll have wall-to-wall coverage into the night as long as we can keep her up. We got Leslie Millway going to be with us in a panel, and so we're looking forward to Mahgdalen being our co-host that night. Kid, I really appreciate you coming on. I do want to talk to you. I got about 10 more minutes, 10, 15 more minutes. I know you can't stay with us long tonight. Now, I will say this. I was actually pleased today. I was sort of torn with RFK. Look, I don't agree with probably three things a man believes, but I think that his endorsement does carry some weight in the fact that the Dems, I think, thought he was going to swing left. But he basically put his stake down in the ground for Trump today. And I just think it's good for Trump. There's nothing bad. There's no downside to this. I don't. I think that he will pull some independent voters that maybe were on the fence. I may be wrong. I'm just going to get your take. I think it's a good day for, and look, I respect RFK Jr. I don't agree with anything he says hardly, but he was right about the COVID stuff. He's been right about the COVID and the vaccines, and I salute him for that, for being brave. But I think this is a good move. I just do, for him down the road, and that's definitely going to help Trump a little bit. I don't know how much, but it's going to help him a little bit.
I think that's true. And what's interesting about RFK Jr. is that the speech he gave today, I listened to it, where he explains the fact that Kamala Harris just doesn't do interviews. I think people like you and I who cover politics, we've even become a little bit numb to how much she's just not talking to the media and how ridiculous it is. And he explained that he does interviews all day, that Donald Trump does them all day, that both of them will talk to many different kinds of people, and that you cannot run for president and just not talk to the press. And I see these little interviews where she walks out of a record store and it's obviously staged, and they say, What did you get? And she's picked like the cool three black records that are vinyl sales. That's all that's happening. And it's really frustrating because we have to be able to call her out on things, but she doesn't give us enough ammo. I hope she goes to that debate with Donald Trump, and I hope that Donald Trump behaves in a way that shows that he is a president. He doesn't have to be presidential. He's never been presidential. But I want him to say, how will you sit across from Kim Jong-un in the demilitarized zone in the North Korea area? How will you talk to the German leaders at NATO? He's got to ask her those questions, because we have all treated her, I think, like a useless idiot for a while. And she's much more nefarious than that. And she's also does not have dementia. So she's not going to fall into the same gaffes Joe Biden has. We just need to hold her accountable. I think Trump should drown her in foreign policy knowledge.
Well, and I'm with you, and he's got to behave himself. And I think it's more dangerous. Look, he did excellent with that debate with Biden. He did not get into the ditch, and I know what's going to happen at ABC. They're going to bait him up and all these gotcha questions, and he cannot respond in any kind of way. If I was to get a gotcha question from this bunch, I would just simply say I'm not going to answer that. That's not has to do with policy. I'll answer any question you got about policy, but I'm not going to deal with this. And this is a presidential debate, and keep it on policy. It but these name calling, and she's not bright, and she is this and that and the other. It does not help. I know that it's hard for him not to do that. It's Trump. That's just why we like him. That's why we love him. That's why he's got a mega movement. That's why he's got a group of people that are going to support him. But he's going to have to act. I think you just nailed it. He's got to act presidential. And it's going to be harder with her, Magdalene, because you got the woman factor. And he does not need to be seen coming across as being condescending, because it's going to turn off the women. Some. It won't turn off all of them, but it'll turn off some.
It will turn off some. And what's interesting about Kamala Harris is that, yes, of course she's a woman, but I have to tell you, I don't find her endearing in that way. And I don't think that's just because I'm a Republican. I don't see her as someone who's very successful. You know, as much as Hillary Clinton is, of course, an evil, evil person, she gives off this air of sort of diplomacy, of having done things. She seems stately. We all know she's pretty much destroyed Western civilization in her tenure in various positions, but she seems stately. Kamala Harris always seems to me like some junior law associate who found her way in because everyone else got busted for insider trading. And that's a really weird position for her to be in. I think a lot of people view her that way. So Trump, of course, I don't think he should attack her on a personal level. That Willie Horton stuff, it's not going to help him.
No.
But did you cover up the fact that Joe Biden has dementia? It shouldn't be the whole thing about it, but did you cover up the fact that he has no idea where he is? He should ask questions like, who's really holding the nuclear codes? Who's in charge of that administration? Because if the Democrats are going to say that she's been the great champion alongside Biden of Democrat policies, then she owns all of it. She owns the collapse of Afghanistan, the invasion of Ukraine, the attacks in Israel. She's responsible for the world tearing itself apart. I remember a quote from Trump once where he said, I just want to stop the world from killing itself. That's what he needs to campaign on, because he just wants to stop the world from killing itself.
Do you think, we had Sheriff Richard Mack last night, great guest, and he was telling us how some of the sheriffs are going to have to step up to make sure we don't have no shenanigans this year. Are you confident that the integrity of the elections are going to be better this go around than before? And I will say this tonight. I got to give credit where credit's due. I have been very hard on my home state of Georgia's Governor, Brian Kemp. And I want to just tip my hat to Mr. Kemp. He was a man enough last night to go on Hannity and changed his tone. And he said, we cannot afford 4 more years of this. And he said, we have got to get Donald Trump in the White House. That was a big step because there's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of animosity between him and Trump. But Brian Kemp was the bigger man, and I pray Trump will accept it graciously. And I think that more of that is going to help, not hurt. But going back, but Kemp is key because Georgia went blue, Magdalene, because of shenanigans in 2020. And other states likely did too. Me and you were up. You didn't stay with me all night, but you were up late, pretty late with me that night. And when we left this air, I mean, you know, in 2020, it was a whole different landscape than it was just 2 hours later when we all woke up on the day after. Do you think that we're in a better place or we're in a worse place?
I think we're in a better place, and in large part that's due to Ron DeSantis, because he has locked Florida down. I mean, they're not even trying in Florida. It's ironclad. I believe there's 1 million more registered Republicans and Democrats. And it's not just what he's done with Florida. He's been very open to, with no cost, like he doesn't need any accolades for it. He goes to other states and he teaches people how to lock their election system down. And he's not trying to swing it for Republicans. He's trying to make sure democracy is pure. So he's been really good at helping people with that. He's been having an influence in the states. I think his team in general has been really open to it. And DeSantis has gotten right in line. He endorsed Trump. He spoke at the convention. So if there is a country who knows how to facilitate a fair election, and remember, in 2020, Florida was called early for Donald Trump. There was no problem there. There was no back and forth. He delivered it clearly. Yeah. If there's a guy in this country and there's a governor who we can count on to teach us how to secure elections, it is Ron DeSantis. And DeSantis and Kemp have been talking quite a bit. Their camps always speak to each other. I think DeSantis has employed a few people from Kemp's world. With DeSantis on our side, I think we have a chance at pretty fair elections.
Yeah. What's your thoughts about this second attempt on Trump's life last night or night before from the Arizona crazy? They finally got him arrested. It's a dangerous time, Magdalene. This is very serious stuff. Look, you know, I was a sophomore in high school when Reagan got shot, and it was even at that age, I was shaken by that. We've not seen a full assassination in this generation. Going back to Kennedy, John F. Kennedy was the last one that happened to in 1962. I wasn't even born then. But they're trying their best to take Trump out any way they can. But from a young person's perspective, when you heard this yesterday, this second attempt, what was your thoughts?
Well, at some point, the rhetoric towards Donald Trump has to bottom out. And that's what's happening here. The Democrats, since really the end of 2015, have been trying to get Donald Trump shot or killed in some ways. When you market someone as Hitler, and this always frustrated me because Democrats would be so shocked that their supporters took it seriously and tried to shoot up a baseball field of Republicans or attack a senator or not. And they would always act like, well, we don't encourage political violence. Okay, even if you're one of the few Democrats who does not encourage political violence, if you say to impressionable young people, that guy's Hitler, destroy your friends or yourselves' rights, what do you think is going to happen? And the guy who shot at Trump was younger than me. He's, I think, 20 years old. He had for his entire puberty years been hearing about this nightmare dictator who was going to destroy him and everyone he loved and destroy the country. That kind of rhetoric is dangerous. It just doesn't exist on the Republican side. We might call someone a socialist. We do not say the things Democrats say, and Democrats know it, which is why they've stopped trying to go with the back and forth, you do it too thing. Because people like Maxine Waters are responsible for the deterioration of really democracy within this country and the escalation of political violence. And people like Nancy Pelosi know, which is why Maxine Waters was pulled out of the media circuit years ago.
Yeah, it's very well said, kid. Final thought, what's your take about the young people's vote? Does it go Trump? Does it go Harris? You want to guess percentage? I'm leaning, I would say 6 out of 10 maybe for Trump right now. Are you thinking it's closer? Do you think she's got the advantage with the young people or him?
I don't think anyone has the advantage. Kamala Harris, the Democrats, always have a better chance of winning. I think that they will win it dramatically more than Republicans. But what's interesting to me is the person in this race who I think has the most influence with young people is RFK Jr. And that's because he speaks to the crypto guys. He speaks to the guys who are very concerned about their health. RFK Jr. and Nicole Shanahan's endorsement. Nicole Shanahan, his running mate, has a huge amount of pull in the tech world. She can fundraise dramatically for him in that world. Those two are going to help Trump talk to a youth world that no one else can. And that's why Kamala Harris's campaign has been so against RFK Jr. The biggest mistake we will see in this election is that Kamala Harris and the Democrats were so anti-RFK Jr.
Yeah, it backfired. It sure did. What do you think about Elon Musk? Does he have any pull?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I will tell you, just from social media and what I've seen, Elon Musk has been the single biggest positive for Trump this election cycle. Other than Trump being shot at, nothing's helped him more. Because Elon Musk has been able to get Trump's message out clearly. And it helps that Elon is not a straight-up American. Like, people can't say the kind of nasty things they would about Elon. The other part of that is there are so many Instagram and TikTok and Twitter accounts out there dedicated just to Elon Musk's wisdom and people seeing quotes from him on a daily basis. So it's not that Trump has this great figure in tech on his side. It's that he has a great thinker on his side. And that's invaluable. Democrats just don't have that. They trotted out Oprah Winfrey. And I would just tell you, no one cares about Oprah Winfrey. In 2008, when on his team, that mattered because she had sway with suburban white women in a huge way. That doesn't exist anymore. Her audience is not that anymore. Democrats don't have anyone on their side that equates to Elon Musk, and that's just the reality.
Yeah. Kids, always good stuff, and I know you got to run. Listen, we're going to get you back on next week or the next, and always a pleasure to have you. And stay. All I can tell you is hang loose, because you never know when I might need to call on you to chat in and check in with us tonight. You were a great Friday night guest, and I appreciate you so, so much. And I'll see you soon, okay?
Yep, thank you for having me on.
All right, Magdalene. God bless, friend. See you, hon. Magdalene Rose, everybody. Put some fire in that house for her tonight. We're grateful for that kid right there. And good insight, as she always does. And she said she had 30 minutes to spare tonight, and I wanted to respect her parameters there. So we've been going right at 29. So actually 29. Now it's 30 minutes. So I just missed it by about 10 seconds. So we did good. And we're grateful to have you tonight. I'm going to play a couple of videos. We're going to take your questions and comments. Speaking of Miss Oprah Winfrey, you got to just love this crap that she said at the convention last night. I think I downloaded this. I did. I want you to listen to this. We've been talking about how abortion is on the ticket for the Dems. By the way, I got to say this before I go any further. I didn't want to say it while Magdalene was on the phone. This is just to prove that Chris is not a black hat. Okay, I'm just saying. And this is for the Trump haters. And this is for the people that think he's Antichrist and all the others. And you want to know where we stand. So, you see that right there? That's where we stand. That's where we stand. Roll the tape.
If you do not have autonomy over this, if you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream. The women and men who are battling to keep us from going back to a time of desperation and shame and stone cold fear, they are the new freedom fighters. And make no mistake, they are the best of America.
You don't get no more evil than that. By the way, what you were watching on the bottom is what takes place in an abortion. And that's what she is saying is freedom fighting. That's what she's saying is the best of America. That's what she's saying is normal. And you heard the crowd, folks. They were screaming. By the way, 25 babies were aborted outside the Democrat National Convention, the Demon National Convention this week. 25. That's baby murder, folks. Right there on the freaking grounds in Chicago, Illinois. So I hope these blanking Dems are proud that they, showed the world that we're for killing the babies. I hope Oprah's proud. And I'll agree with the sentiment. I want these Christian evangelicals for Harris. I want them to look me in the eye and explain to me how that is what they're supporting. The crazy thing and the most insane thing and the scary thing about it is that they will do just that with a straight face. They think it's a grand thing. They got no problem with it. And I'm going to go ahead and probably light a fire tonight. You black pastors that are leading your congregation and your sheep down this path, let me tell you something. There is no level of hell that is going to burn as hot for those that do this stuff and promote the killing of babies like you just saw. Because that is what you're doing. That is exactly what you're doing. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. I am not your judge. I'm not here to say that with stones in my hand. But I'm saying this as a person of conviction, a person of faith, and somebody that knows what's right is right. And I can tell you what you saw with that tricep and that needle and that yanking the baby and basically breaking the baby up into parts in the mother's womb. That's exactly what happens in an abortion. Do you realize I got a friend in Knoxville, hadn't seen him in many years. He wouldn't come on the show because he said he couldn't get political, and I understood that. I didn't agree with it, but I understood his view. He said, I would love to come and talk about it, but he said, my organization has prohibited us from getting involved in political matters. And I said, this ain't a political matter, man. This is a spiritual matter. But he went around town with a billboard that basically was showing actual images of abortion. And he was basically sued to stop because people were saying it was too grotesque, that we don't want to see it. It reminds me of the Old Testament demon devil worshippers and the Old Testament idolaters. It reminds me of backslidden Israel and other nations that served Moloch and worshipped Baal. And what they would do, they'd take the infant and they would put the infant on the idol. You'd have to see the image and put the kid on the idol's hands and light a fire underneath where the baby's screams would start burning. They would sacrifice it, passing through the fire. If you've ever done a word study in the Bible, that's what that word passing through the fire means. They would do that and as a sacrifice to Baal and Moloch. And they would literally beat drums to hide out the screams of the babies. And that's how desensitized we have become in America, that we are okay to listen to this piece of crap right here. I pray for her soul, folks. I pray for her soul. I do. But I'm with Mahgdalen. I don't really care what Oprah says. I'm going to say something else probably going to get me in trouble. There was a ministry that went down, and the lady that caused the ministry to go down basically said that she got her inspiration to do what she did from Oprah to tear the ministry down. That told me everything I needed to know about the situation. And let me tell you something. She is no inspiration. She's no inspiration. That is a damnable situation to get up there and say what she said, that if we don't have autonomy over this. What autonomy, Oprah? The autonomy of ripping a baby out of a mother's womb. Folks, if you was to see the procedure, it would make it would make you physically sick. And you see, the crazy thing about it is that we don't want to see the actual images. It's like the idolaters of old that held their ears and they beat the drums to keep the noise of the kids. That couldn't stomach the screams of the kids when they were passing through the fire. That's what I liken this generation to right now. That we don't want to see what actually goes on in an abortion clinic, because if we did, it would probably shake the knot in some of these black, damnable, heretical pastors that are basically supporting this party, and these white liberal pastors that are supporting this. It is damnable, folks. It is damnable. And pardon my language, but it is damnable on every level. And they're not freedom fighters, Oprah. They're murderers. They're not protecting freedom. They're protecting the slaughter of babies. And let me say this to you tonight on this McFile Friday night. If you go out and pull that lever for this party, you are just as guilty, and the blood of these babies are going to be on your hands and your head. And I'm going to tell you something, you will hear the screams for all eternity for doing it. That is why I wear this hat, because I know Trump may not be perfect, but he will not support this. He will not support this. I know he won't. Number two, the other thing, by the way, here's the image that I talked to you about right there. 25, folks, 25 babies died at this convention. There's the other demon that was up there speaking this week. This was the most evil, wicked 4 days I've ever seen anything on display in my life. Look, I thought these demons were bad, but the evil, I thought the last convention when they were mocking God and booing God and doing all this, I thought it was bad. This week hit a new low. They literally aborted 25 babies, and there was a van. There was a place that if you wanted an abortion while you were there, you could go get an abortion. Women literally brought their unborn babies and had their abortions done right there in Chicago at the DNC. You can't get no more evil than that. And let me just say this to these cowardly pastors and cowardly evangelicals for Harris that don't have any moral clarity to understand that's evil or not. If I need to draw this in crayon for you tonight, and yeah, I'm a little upset, I'm a little fired up on a Friday night, this burns me to the core. Look, that is evil, but it is 10 times more evil that people that call themselves Christians support it. It is far worse that the people that support it believe it's okay. What does that say about our country, folks? What does that say about us tonight? What does that say about the soul of this nation? And even some Republicans, they don't have no moral courage to call this wrong, to call it evil, or whatever. You've got so-called prophets out there, so-called Telegram heroes, so-called big-time networks. They don't have a bit of moral courage in their body. They wouldn't dare call it evil because some of their listeners are out there that support this, and we can't take a side in this, and all they want to talk about is Nasara, and all they want to talk about is frequencies and DNA, and we got to get your DNA tree, and we got to get your generational curses off of you. And they don't talk about the burner of the babies because they got no moral courage in their body. They got a platform to do it, but they won't do it. That is spiritual and moral cowardice. My dear friend Bill Federer, that book of his, The Silence of Consent, I'm telling you something, is one of the most powerful books. I've been reading it, and I say this with all due respect tonight. I say it with all due respect. If you are silent in this election and you sit back and you don't get involved in this, you are bringing the blood of these babies down on your head and your family's head tonight, folks. This is what's at stake. And you say, well, it's just one issue. No, it's the issue tonight. It is the issue tonight. It is the issue tonight. These moral cowards, these spiritual cowards, these cowardly, it grieves me to the core. The spiritual cowardice that has taken over this country. By the way, Martin Luther King, I don't know if you ever knew he said this. He did. Interesting. When people criticize the Zionists, by the way, folks, remember this. They mean the Jews. There was a man right here. He had some moral clarity. I didn't agree with every single thing I heard Martin Luther King. I've listened to his speeches through the years. But I tell you what, the man had an eye. He understood what was right and wrong. And he understood when he saw anti-Semitism, he recognized it as anti-Semitism. While I'm on the subject of the babies, let me just get on the other subject. It burns me up. These spiritual, moral pimp cowards. That's all they are. They pimp you for your views. They pimp you for your time. They pimp you to go on these networks and listen to their nonsense for 30 minutes or an hour. And they hide behind names, and they hide behind their aliases, and they hide behind this and hide behind that. But they don't have the moral courage to call evil, evil. They don't have the courage to call anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism. And they back the people that do. They back the people that hate Jews. They share people's videos out that hate Jews. They share people's timelines that hate Jews. Make no mistake about it, folks. You either have moral clarity in your heart and soul tonight or you don't, and you better get some. I pray to God that we get shook up. This stuff, folks, this is what we're teetering on tonight, folks. Do you realize we're teetering on a society that is killing babies in the parking lot of a political convention? How sick, how low have we gotten? And look, that little graphic that you saw under Oprah, that was mild. That was mild. compared it to see the actual babies in parts. And my friend who had this, he had this van, and he had images of abortion, literally the fetuses on the table, fetuses, and people were getting offended by it, getting sick by it, complained, and the city made him stop driving it around because it was too offensive. No different than the worshipers of Baal that sit there and cover their ears and beat their drums to hide the screams of those children they were offering up through the fire. We're that tonight in 2024 in this nation. That should send a chill up every one of us, folks. I'm sorry for screaming tonight. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry, actually. I ain't sorry for a thing. 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 I've got a platform, and the Lord has been dealing with me about this for many weeks. I've sort of held back. I've sort of been trying to be diplomatic about it. I've tried to not sort of let it all hang out for various reasons, but I don't want to stand before God and He look at me and say, why didn't you tell them the truth? Why didn't you tell them how I felt about this baby killing? Why didn't you use your platform? You were worried about what? People leaving you? You were worried about people not watching the show anymore? You was worried about losing donations? You were worried about losing? I don't want to stand before God with that. No, I don't care. Because I've got this platform for a reason. God's blessed us for 7 years. He has sustained us through storm after storm. He has sustained us through attack after attack. He has sustained us through the slander. He has sustained us through the lies. He has sustained us through the innuendo. He has sustained us from people leaving. He has sustained us from people going. He has sustained us through every thick and thin storm. And we're standing by His help and grace tonight. And I am not going to allow this platform not to be a clarion voice of moral clarity and tell you that the baby killing is right. We are going to scream it to the top of our lungs that it is wrong, it is murder, it is bloodletting murder. And if you vote for these damnable politicians that back it and you put these people in power, you are guilty of the same. And I do not mince words saying that tonight, neighbor. You're going to be held accountable for your vote and your lack of it. You may not believe that, and you may think, well, God's not into politics. No, God really ain't into politics, but I can guarantee you one thing God is into. He's into life. He's into the protection of the innocent. He is into the protection of the innocent of these babies. And if you're going to back Oprah play and you think these are just freedom fighters and these are heroes of America, these are what's America's best. No, these are not America's best, folks. These are the most evil, wicked, demonic, inspired people you have ever seen in your life that do not care about anything but the babies and their death. And the second thing you better hear me about tonight, folks, this party of the demonic that is trying to take power, they will destroy Israel at all costs, and they will do everything they can to destroy the Jews of this country. And I speak to my Jewish friends tonight. I don't know why you do it. I don't judge you for doing it. But I don't understand how you can vote for a party that hates you so much and hates your nation so much. I don't understand it. I wish you could explain it to me. I don't understand it. Now, Chris ain't going to write any books on how to win friends and influence people and how to be a calm talk show host on a Friday night anytime soon. I've just sit here and held this all in all week, and I've tried to just, I couldn't watch it, but I have to cover it. I have to see the headlines, and I've read some of the statements, and I saw that video, and I was like, Lord, this has got to stop. We're at a point. You got Christians out there that are sitting on the fence, and I ask you tonight, how long halt you between two opinions? How long halt you between supporting death and supporting life? How long halt you between good and evil? How long halt you between that which is right and that which is damnable murder and damnable demonic murder of babies? How long do you stand between two opinions? How can you have two opinions on this, folks? And if you sit at home and don't vote, well, I just don't like Trump's tweets, and I think Trump's Illuminati, and I think Trump is a Mason, and I think Trump's 888, and I think Trump's the Antichrist, and I think Trump's the little horn of Daniel 7, and I think Trump, oh my God, Trump's a terrible man. Oh, Trump's a terrible man. It's amazing that I never hear a negative word about the Democratic Party and what just went on. Never. I never hear a word about the life of the babies. I've not agreed with everything Trump said. I never will agree with everything Trump says. Never will agree with everything Trump does. But I will tell you one thing that he has got my support with, and he will have my vote. He will have my vote, and I will do everything to help him get elected, folks. He believes in the sanctity of life. He's trying to do his best, and Andy Griffin, I think, summed it up the other night. You can be sure that Trump, between the two candidates, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Kamala Harris wants support the saving of one life. Trump is going to try to save as many babies' lives as he can. Because it ain't in the federal government's hands anymore. It's in the state's hands. And we're never going to surrender. All right. All right. Linda says, I've seen videos of abortions and I've had nightmares for weeks. Linda, let me tell you something. You've got more moral clarity than 90% of these damnable pastors do. Some of these pastors probably would do wise to watch that video. You know what's so sad, Linda, is that you wouldn't get a pastor to do it because that's below them. That's below them. Well, we can't bring that offensive stuff into our churches. It might offend some of our members. I bet it will offend some of your members because probably some of your members are out there murdering and slicing up the babies in the womb. That's paying the biggest tithe. So we can't offend those, I'm sure, can we? No. No, we can't offend those. It's good that you've got nightmares, my friend, because I'm going to tell you something right now. The fact that you've got nightmares, Linda, lets me know you got moral clarity, my friend. Because there ain't nobody can watch a video like that and not feel something. I couldn't, look, just watching that little, illustration, I didn't care about Oprah Winfrey as far as what she said. I was watching that illustration of what they were doing to the baby underneath it. And I've seen the same videos, Linda. I've seen it in real time, and that was mild. That was mild. Compared, but they do basically chop the baby up in the mother's womb. Those parts are basically obliterated. And yes, they're sold on the open market. If you don't believe me, ask Planned Parenthood. Ask Planned Parenthood. That video that came out in 2016, they've scrubbed the internet. You go out there and do that, they'll take your channel down in a heartbeat saying that kind of stuff. That's the other thing. I've asked the Lord, I said, Lord, we've lost 3 channels. Am I game enough to rebuild another one? We're going to be game. That's why we're back on Rumble. You can find us at Rumble at the McFiles 55. You can find us here on this McFiles News Network. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on X at the McFiles 45. Just in case you're not sure of who Chris supports tonight, just in case you're not quite clear where Chris stands on this, just in case you're not sure that we are taking a side in this, because we damn well are taking a side in this tonight, folks. I'm taking a side for life. Pardon my language, but I'm telling you, I'm taking a side for life. I'm taking the side of the babies. And you say, well, this ain't the only issue in the election. Oh, yes, it is the only election issue, my friend. Because let me explain something to you tonight as I close. If we can't support the most innocent among us and the least, if we cannot support the most vulnerable that cannot protect themselves, I said this one night this week, the only protection that baby has in that womb, you know who it is? God and that mother. God and that mother. And when the mother and the dude that got her pregnant become God and say, well, we're going to take that baby's life, and then they go to a doctor that plays God, and then they're backed with money from politicians, with the government to pay for that abortion, basically our money, not the government's, but it's our money, to play God, then you've got a problem. Then you've got a problem. So just in case, You see that right there? I bought this hat. I found this hat. I saw somebody wear one. I said, I'm going to get me one of them white hats. Chris is always accused of being black hat, so I just want to make it clear I'm a white hat tonight. Just in case you don't know where I stand. Just in case you don't know where I stand. Just in case. Just in case you don't know where I stand. It makes my blood boil too, Kelly. It makes my blood boil. But what makes my blood boil worse is these pastors, these damnable heretics, these cowards. Nothing but spiritual cowards. I don't mind calling them that. And let me tell you something. You can hide behind your little 3-letter channel. You can hide behind all your little channels all you want to. You can hide behind all the things. But God, you can't hide from God. You can hide from all of us, but you can't hide from God. God sees what's going out there on that internet. God sees what's happening with these black pastors, these evangelicals for Harris. He sees all of this, folks. He sees all of this. And those 25 babies that got murdered at the DNC, they're in heaven tonight. And their blood, even those 25 babies, their blood is vibrating on the earth, screaming, 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 screaming from the earth. Just like Abel's blood screamed. And God heard it. And that's why he went to Cain and he said, your brother's blood is crying to me from the earth. And Cain in his coldness, well, am I my brother's keeper? I'm not my brother's keeper. These pastors tonight that are doing what they're doing, they're saying the same thing. We're not the baby's keepers. We're not the baby's keepers. We're not the keepers of the baby. We can't keep women from doing abortion. It's a free will. I had somebody tell me that recently. They said, well, we got to make sure that it's a free choice. Let me tell you something. God did not give us free choice to kill babies. He did not give us free choice to kill the innocent. He did not give man free will to be perverse and to be a man be a woman and a woman be a man. He did not give us free will to do those things, folks. He gave us free will to obey him and serve him. He didn't give us a free will to worship idle, heathen, pagan gods that don't speak, that don't talk, that don't move, and can't hear and can't do a thing. It's a Friday night, free for all. Now, I haven't had a chance to take your questions and your comments. It's 9:03, 10:03 in the East. Lord, thank you. I'm going to tell you something. I'll agree with you. Anything with the moral fiber, that's got a moral fiber in their bone, there should... You know what's so crazy to me tonight, folks? I don't even see why this is even a gray area. This should not be hard for people to understand what's at stake here. That should tell you how deceptive the enemy of our souls are tonight. That should tell you how deceptive the devil is over the hearts of men. Because you got people in the church that have a question. They're not sure who to vote for. We're not sure who we're going to vote for. I just don't understand. And I really like, there's just so many good things about Kamala. And she's the first woman president. She's going to be the first woman president and the first black woman president. And, you know, it would be so great for the country. And it would be so morally great for the country. It would be so morally wonderful for the country. Anyway, you got blood on your hands, neighbor. I'm telling you, you got blood on your hands. You got blood on your hands. Oh, Janet, she knows who Margaret Sanger was all about. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Janet. All these people know who Margaret Sanger was. She was part of the Democrat machine that started this whole mess. They know good and well who she was, buddy. I'm not taking issues. I'm a little wired up right now, Janet, so just take my statement not to you. But let me just say this to Oprah Winfrey. She knows who Margaret Sanger was very well. She supports her. She supports her. She supports everything she did. And these Dems do too. These Dems do too. Folks, let me tell you something. I don't know where the future of this show will be a year from now. I pray to God we're still doing this. I love what I do. But God is my witness. If we go down, we are going to go down screaming to our lungs and fighting for this baby issue. And we're going to go down fighting We're not going to go down like cowards. And you can find us right here. And by the way, Chris don't have to hide behind any letters. That's my name right there. You can talk about me all you want to. You can do all your videos about me all you want to. Because, see, this is the thing about Chris. I can lay my head down at night and sleep. And while I get a little animated, wear some funny hats from time to time, say some stuff that probably gets me in a lot of trouble, would be better off not to say it, but I say it. Chris can rest because his conscience is clear tonight, that I know where I stand on this. And I know where I'm standing is right. I know where I stand on Israel is right. I know where I stand with the Trump situation is right. I know where I stand on these babies is right. I can sleep at night. And I can look myself in the mirror. And one day, when my grandkids are older, and my time on this earth is coming to an end, because it will, eventually, if the Lord tarries. I won't be here forever. But I will tell you this, I pray to God when I get to the end of the road, and my grandkids are around me, and they look at me and say, Papa, we heard a lot of stuff about you. We heard a lot of stuff about you. But I hope that they'll look at me and say, Papa, thank you for fighting for us. Thank you for fighting for our generation. Thank you for fighting for the kids. Thank you for fighting. You got maligned for it. You got mocked for it. You got shunned for it. You got isolated. You got ignored. People left. But thank you for fighting. My grandkids will never not look at me and say, Papa Mac didn't fight. Because Papa Mac's going to fight. One way or the other. And I love you tonight. And the thoughts are mine. And these opinions are mine on the host, as the host of the McFiles. And I am Christopher McDonald, and I approve this message. And I pray you have a great weekend. Now, I will be calmer Sunday morning. I won't have the hat on. I will not wear the hat. You like my hat? I love this hat. I love this white hat. I will love to wear this white hat. This will be my new white hat. Let me see, what's the comment out here? Evangelical for Trump ad denounces Trump as false prophet. What an evil statement. Well, Leaf, let me tell you something. They don't even know what a false prophet is. They don't even know what a false prophet is. At least they don't kill the babies. At least he ain't got blood on his hands like they do. At least he ain't on spiritual meth like they do. At least he ain't blind, spiritually blind and full of the devil like they are. So, okay, if he's a false prophet, let him be a false prophet. Anyway, I like my hat. I like my Trump 2024 hat. I think I'm going to wear that. I think I'm going to wear this to the grocery store tomorrow. And as I'm walking down the grocery store, I'll say, hey, if you want to pay about a third less of what you're paying here, vote Trump, baby. See what kind of looks I get tomorrow. That'd be pretty good. What y'all think? I love you all tonight. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. I ain't been this wired up in a while, folks. That Oprah Winfrey thing set me off tonight. I got a lot of memes. I'll save them for Monday. We got Ricky Wilson and the James R. Man Monday night. Tuesday. Who do we have Tuesday? Well, somebody we got Tuesday. I know Leslie Millway will be with me Thursday. We'll have a faith guest Wednesday. I think we'll have a faith guest Wednesday. And we got all shows, all next week Friday. Labor Day is a week from Monday. So that week we're going to be sort of sporadic. But come next week, we should have every night we'll be on, okay? So 5 nights worth of shows like we did this week. Did you enjoy the show tonight? I am who I am. And I'll say what I got to say. Chris gets a little wired up. Better to get wired up than keep my mouth shut. And let babies die. 25 of them, sadly, at the DNC. I got some more thoughts on RFK. I'll share them with you first of the week. Be with me Sunday morning for the faith shows. Good shows coming up Sunday morning, Sunday night. I love you all. We're grateful you're with us. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for your financial support of this network. I deeply appreciate all you that have been given. Some of you have gone way, way, way beyond the call of duty. I tip my hat to you. We love you. Thank you for standing with us during these times. We're going to stand with you too. And we're standing for our country. And we're going to fight, 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 and never surrender. Amen. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. Take care. Enjoy yourself. I'll take your questions next week. See you later.